Let's record. At some point in our lives, we discover a part of ourselves that is resistant, is afraid, does not want to change, does not want to take risks, and certainly struggles with growth, even if it's for our well-being and the betterment of our lives, because it's easier to stay in the same old thing. Now, luckily, the universe is co-creating with us. So Great Spirit has a way to, or energy or life or the universe has a way to push us, sometimes uncomfortably, but it's undeniable, you know, the kind of the nudge, the God smack, whatever you want to call it, that forces us into change. And it could be an illness, it could be a breakup, it could be a move, it could be something small, like there's something inside of you that just doesn't feel right or aligned and is like craving something else. This is that spirit, that universe, that love, that light that is moving through you. Now, we're all doing things we don't like, that parts of us are okay with because we've made excuses for it. And yet we know is not good for us, or it's not right for us. So I've been on this journey with you to discover those parts of me that are holding me back. And in the last couple of weeks, because we all know what's going on in the world right now, it is a very precarious time. And it always has been, but especially now, when we look at leaving even just our house, it becomes an opportunity to either become brave and courageous and do what we need to do to strengthen ourselves, our immunity, our inner happiness, be in the sun, get the solar energy underneath us, eat the right foods, get the internal right, so that we can be healthy when we go out and we do our things and live our life, because we cannot stop living because of what's going on right now. And there's expanded yogic techniques that we can do for our mind, our body, and our heart to lift us up in courage and still support us in knowing that we can do this, even though it might be hard. So whether it is going on the trip or changing your diet or making yoga a more regular thing or getting rid of that friends group that has a bad influence on you, no matter what it might be, we can use our practice to develop that deeper inner strength to get those spirit whispers that are nudging us to make some changes for the better. So here I am with you, going through it with you. You are not alone in whatever you're going through. And that's what we're here to do, is to hold each other and do this together. So welcome to your practice today. This is therapeutic yoga. And what we're focused on mostly is kind of the womb space, the second chakra area today, and which is a place of our creative force, our creative power. It's also very feminine and yin in nature. So maybe we have a backlog of stress that we have to unwind. Maybe we have a relationship to our feminine nature that is positive, negative, or neutral. This practice ahead of us, which is very slow and easy, is to really nourish and nurture us at those lower areas, the what we call the lower triangle of the body. So we're looking at kind of anything that has to do with the reproductive organs, the bladder. In fact, the bladder meridian is one that we're really focusing on today. Also the sacroiliac joint. So the triangular bone at the very base of your spine, the back waistline, and just above your booty. And then you can imagine the whole shape of your pelvis, the whole butterfly shape of your pelvis, including the sitting bones at the top and the iliac crest kind of at the front of your pelvis. So we're going to focus on that area. We're going to nurture it. We're going to bring those waters of life and get them moving and see what kind of creative energy arises from inside of us as we have this deep self-reflection time this next hour. So let's begin actually laying down flat on our bellies. So face down on your belly. If you have something that you can take like a blanket or a pillow and place it underneath your head, you're going to turn your head to one side. You can also just rest your head on your own hands. So we're face down prone, kind of like a little prone shavasana. If you have to adjust so you can be most comfortable here, do so. And let's see if I can tilt my computer just to where you can see me. All right, so here we are. First, touch in with yourself. So close your beautiful eyes and allow yourself to drop deeply into your body and the weight of your body as it rests on the floor. And about halfway through this very short meditation, I'll have you turn your head. So if you do have your head turned to one side, we will at one point switch it. So dropping in and really attending your attention to how your breath is moving your body through your spine, so through your skeleton, and feel how it begins in the central area of you. Because your breath is there in your belly and in your lungs, and you feel it sort of radiate on inhale, expanding you, fluffing you up. And then on exhale, as you let the breath out and into, you feel this heaviness kind of take over and this resting. So feel the rise and fall. Be with it completely in your bones, in your muscles, in your joints. Notice how it moves from the center out to your periphery and then returns back. And when it returns back, notice where it returns back to. Where is that point in which the breath starts to ripple? Like, where's the stone? Where is it thrown in this still pool of your body? And then how do the ripples go from that point out? So experience that kind of mandala, the center of the mandala, and then the ripple. And with your next breath out, just feeling that calmness. And with your next inhalation, lift your head and turn it to the other side. And then just reposition yourself right back where you were, only with your head in the other direction. Come right back into that experience of the ripple of breath, where it starts, where it ripples out to. And see if you're increasing that rippling sensation from the center, like your trunk area of your body, front and back. And then where does it go? Does it go all the way down your legs? Does it reach up into your shoulders and arms? Do you feel that ripple of breath moving up into your skull? And if there's any parts of your body that are still sort of holding on, or you scan and notice a tension spot, see if you can melt that area with your exhalations. Experiencing the ripples of breath through your bones and all the tissue around them. Maybe even into those organs, feeling the expansion of energy moving in and through all of you, all that's in your skin, contained within. And maybe there's a color that feels very healing for you. It could be yellow, which you need more energy. It could be bright light coming through you. Maybe it's blue light, like soft and washing, like the turquoise waters of Hawaii. So imagine that color as you take your next minute of breathing awareness. And see if you can do this without forcing the breath now. So just let go of any pressure you have to breathe and just receive it subtly. Beautiful. Okay. So if there's any intentions that arose, like a wish that came through for you, or any sort of like, oh, I really need this today. Let's claim that for our practice. May this practice be what I need. And then with your next inhalation, make soft fists with your hands. So thumbs on the outside of your fingers. So soft fists. And then place your fists underneath your body, like arms straight underneath where your pelvis is. So where your leg crease meets with your pubic bone, right in between there. So these points here are spleen 12 and 13. So we're doing a little acupressure with this yoga pose. And then place your chin or forehead on the ground from here. So just kind of check, maybe your chin feels better on the ground, maybe your forehead feels better on the ground. But either way, you're letting your pelvis press into your hands, and you have soft fists, but your palms are facing upward. So even though your hands are closed, the backs of your hands are at the floor, and your inner hands are into your body. Good. Now bring your ankles to touch, or bring your feet close towards each other. So kind of squeeze that inner line of your body. So we're coming into a little bit of a shalabhasana. We're going to be here 30 seconds only. So on your next breath in, raise your feet up and see if you can get your thighs off the ground. It's going to be intense. If you have to adjust your hands and get them more into the softer area of your pelvis, do it. It's going to feel a little strange, but that pressure is what we need right now to get that spleen 12, spleen 13 activated. So this is like a deep pressure you're going to feel with your hands there. At first, it'll be uncomfortable. See if you can breathe through it. You only have another 15 seconds to go. You're raising your legs up as high as you can. It won't be a lot. Some of you are used to raising pretty high, but with your hands there, not so much. And that's okay. So my feet are just about maybe 3 to 5 inches away from the floor. That's me. All right, go ahead and exhale, slowly lower down. Take your hands out from underneath you. And maybe just place them overhead, taking a little diamond shape with your hands above your head, if that feels good on your shoulders, or you can just rest your hands by your sides, but loosen up your palms. And if you have to, wiggle your fingers around a bit, and just notice now your pelvis. So when you lay flat and relax and feel the effects of what we just did, notice what your pelvis feels like, the front of your pelvis, where we pressurized. And see if you can notice if there's a little bit more space there, a little more prana or energy or breath that's available to you there. And notice what the quality of your tissue is like there now. So at this point, we'll take a moment to slowly flip ourselves over onto our back. So you don't have to adjust anything other than turning over. So face up, place your feet on the ground and your knees bent. Lovely. And now pause here. Now that you're feeling your back against the earth and gravity working with you here with your back on the earth. And I'll get into the pose in just a moment. I just want to give you a direct link to my words because I have a little wind today in my yard. The meditation here is to be aware of your sacrum now. So we were aware of the front of our pelvis before, and now we're tuning into the bone of the back of our pelvis, that sacrum bone. So as you breathe, see if that sacrum bone has some mobility. Just notice if there's any sort of movement there as you breathe, like a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So take a few. Notice if there's some subtle movement there as you breathe, or if your breath helps to kind of rock the pelvis. And if for any reason you're not feeling much, you can play with a soft rock of your pelvis. So when you inhale, let the arch of your back come up off the ground. And when you exhale, let the low back fall back towards the ground. And if it helps you, you can slip your hands under, the small of your back, the arch of your back. It should slightly come off. You should be able to slide your hands under. If you can't, this exercise will help you get some space there. Okay, so some of us have some compression in the low back. This tends to help us decompress the low back. So just a little gentle rock as you breathe. So inhale, pick up the back, and exhale, press the back down towards the floor. So as you squeeze your belly, your back goes down. And as your belly expands, you feel that arching and lifting away from the floor. Now, if you emphasize this too much, you might find that the effort kind of works backwards for you. So it's better to do this with more subtle, soft, easy, non-pressure movement. So we're going to tune into bladder points now. And the bladder points are specifically bladder 27 through bladder 34. So these are like several points. I'd say about 7 or 8 points here that we're going to be working on. So we're going to come back to our hands again and slip them underneath our low back. So your palms are going to be facing down underneath your buttocks at the base of your spine at your sacrum. So your palms are flat down. The backs of your hands are where your sacrum. The knuckles of the backs of your hands are where your sacrum are. Your knuckles and your hands are kind of forming right now like a acupressure pad, okay? So you want to let your body drop into your hands. And there's a slight elevation there because your hands make your hips a little higher than normal. Now just close your eyes for here. And just take some long, deep, slow breaths. And as you take long, deep, slow breaths, keeping your feet a little bit wider than your hips, sway your knees. So I'm going to demo it in case you aren't quite clear on this one. It's very simple and sweet. Hands are underneath the back. Feet are a little wider than the hips. You're breathing deep and slow, and you're just letting those knees rock. And as your knees rock, you can feel the weight shifting on your sacrum bone and probably feeling the bones of your hands massaging those points, those bladder points along your sacrum bone. So if you have to adjust your hands so you get more of that activity, some people even make soft fists, as long as it feels comfortable for you, and rock from there. You're just going to have to put more pressure on your feet because you don't want to crush your hands as you do this movement.
Okay, so it's like a little bridge pose, a little mini bridge pose with sacral massage. So keep that up for another, let's say like another minute or so, just rocking side to side with the knees and feeling the pressure and the weight of your sacrum bone against your hand. Okay, maybe very, very subtle. And that's the point. A little goes a long way here. All right, perfect. So come back to center. You guys are doing awesome. So the next point is actually bladder 48. It's a little further out from your sacrum. So just outside your sacrum bone into the fleshy part of your booty. So now you can, and if you have a tennis ball, like a tennis ball could be something you put here too. Like you could put a tennis ball under each side of your bottom, like near your sacrum, and you can kind of roll on that. But I'm going to use my hands because sometimes I don't have a tennis ball with me. And sometimes doing this feels really nice, releases the low back, releases the sacrum, and really washes the pelvis, that bladder meridian, the spleen meridian with lots of nourishing yin energy. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to put my hands underneath, soft fists, underneath my meaty part of my bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to let my feet float up, and then I'll rock from here. So like little circles, you're still getting that feeling of like, you know, if you had a tennis ball or a golf ball underneath there, but if you don't have the prop, you can use your fists. So as long as you're in a position where you're in the meatier part of your backside, and then you might find, oh, like there's a tender spot. So I found a tender spot. So I'm going to take that right leg and kind of circle it around independently now. So I can let that right side tender spot get a little attention. And then maybe I'll stop, let it relax, and check to see if there's like a tender spot on the left side and circle from there. So you can do legs both together or independently moving. You can do a combo of the two. You can let the knees fall open, kind of like in a little modified like butterfly pose / happy baby. You can bring the knees in tightly towards your chest and belly. Activate your belly, but then let it soften back, and then rock and circle the knees from here. And then you can move your hands to different areas of your butt muscles. Okay, so I did tell you bladder 48 is right on the outside of the sacrum. So you're going to get some other points as you go back and forth, but give it another 30 seconds to a minute to explore. And just know, you know, we have those tender spots. Those tender spots are places of high charge in the muscle. And when we sink and melt some weight and some pressure into that area, it gives it an opportunity, like a trigger point, to release. And when the trigger point can release, guess what? All that musculature that might have been tight and holding or compensating begins to loosen up, and all of a sudden, you know, the energy starts to wash through us, and we have way more energy into that creative center, into the pelvis, bladder, reproductive organs, lower digestion, all get a nice wash. So hopefully those organs are going to function better today after our practice. So when you feel done in the next few moments, again, just pause. Only this time, like we did prone shavasana, send your legs straight out on the floor, extending your legs, extending your arms. Take a little mini shavasana right here. And just let your eyes close and your body sink back, and let whatever feelings and subtle energies that have been unlocked and unleashed be absorbed and acknowledged and experienced fully. So meditating on the shape of your body, the energy contained within it, and then also all the energy that is beginning to emerge beyond your skin and into the field around you. So you are not just contained in this body. You are energy that is being exchanged with all kinds of things. So notice that. Notice how this carrying of your energy is starting to light you up like a Christmas tree.
Guide your hands now to your low belly. So placing your hands on your low belly, just above your pubic bone. So both hands maybe side by side or forming a little triangle if that feels good. You want to kind of find where your pubic bone is and just above that area. So these points are CV4 and CV6. And we're going to place our right fingertips directly above the pubic bone in the center between our belly button and our pubic bone. So the right goes there. That's our CV6 point. And the left hand is going to be just above the pubic bone. Okay, so just find the pubic bone, left fingertips go press right in above that area. And then halfway between that area and your belly button is where your right hand goes. And just kind of sink and press and melt the hands down into, so you're gradually pressing. You're starting like soft and then you're going deeper, 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 deeper until like you can feel like, all right, I'm pressing into my womb space for the ladies. For the man, this is that lower abdomen, the deeper sense of, our eliminatory, excretory organs, bladder. It's just really activating blood flow and energy flow with our hands down deep into that spot. So about 2 inches deep, if you can get there. I'm just going to breathe deeply and hold that pressure. 1 to 2 minutes is the prescribed time. Closing your eyes and relaxing. So this is also a point for constipation. So if you do get that symptom, this can be very helpful for that. And any sort of reproductive issues, like anything that has to do with your menstrual cycle for the ladies, or incontinence, not being able to, or always having to go to the bathroom, or maybe being leaky. So that could, these points, one is called, the CV6 is sea of energy, and the CV4 is called gate energy or gate origin. So you can imagine, like, this is a gateway. This is a point of energy where sort of the sea, so think of like all the primordial fluids that make you lubricated, that keep your interstitial, your joints, everything flowing easily. We're activating this point. So it's a healing point. All right, so let's Transition, we'll first take the feet to the floor, knees bent. You may want to take a minute just to sense and feel after you've done that pressuring, to just pause without the pressure. Maybe take the arms away. I like to do, a little arms overhead, letting the shoulders and arms open. And just taking a moment to notice, again, the qualities and the energies that are flowing into that second chakra area, both front and back. So even though we were pressing the front, there may be some heavier sensations towards the back of the body. You may just get a sense of washing or flowing. You may even have to get up and use the bathroom. Those are things that happen as we do our practice. It's like it gets things moving that maybe we're having trouble moving before. So embrace it. And get a sense for how your body is responding. Are you feeling your body giving you rewards of joy, good feelings, positive sensations? So remember, we're taking out the brain because the brain's like, oh, what are we doing? I don't know. Question. Remember, we talked about how we get in our own way. So just because we're not being busy doesn't mean we're not getting things done. So in fact, sometimes the unwinding is where the big work is. All right, let's take a deep breath together. Big breath, inhale through the nose. And then vocal sigh out. I'm the only one who's going to hear you, okay? So let it all go. Good. You can choose what side to roll onto, either your right or your left. See what side your body wants to roll to. Pause as you roll over to your side and take about 30 seconds on your side, just appreciating yourself this moment, the meditation, the breath, the being in your body, caring for it. And when you feel ready, begin to make your way up. And we'll come to a seated position. I'm going to take my pillow and place it underneath my booty on my sitting bones. So my sitting bones are going to be padded. And then the soles of the feet are coming out in front of me with the knees bent. So we're in a Baddha Konasana or butterfly position. Soles of the feet pressing. But when your feet are pressing, it's mostly the outer edges of your feet. Okay, so the inner edges are going to kind of open slightly, kind of like a bowl. Okay, and you're going to take your hands now and we'll gently press spleen 6 position, or spleen. We're going to do spleen 6 first and then spleen 4. So we're going to start near the ankles. And let's see, the best way to find spleen 6. Now, also, I want to say if anyone's in their 8th or 9th month of pregnancy, we don't want to press this point. Okay, so it relieves water retention, menstrual cramps, any sort of genital pain. Okay, so it's 4 finger widths above the inner ankle bone. So find your ankle bone, go to the inside of your ankle bone. So that's closest to like your Achilles, and then measure about 3 fingers width. Okay, and then from there, that's where your point would be. It's going to feel like a little groove because it sits right there in between the bones of your legs. Okay, right in that little groove here. So you're going to press down. You can use your index finger or your middle finger, but don't use your nails, just the pads of your fingers. So this is a pressure point position called spleen 6. It's known as 3-yin crossing. Now, while you're here, you can enjoy your Baddha Konasana. So you can If you want, lean into it a little bit and get the hips to open and kind of pressure maybe the outer edges of your legs open. And then soften jaw, soften throat, soften your shoulders. Maybe even bow your head and soften that area between your eyebrows. And if you want a little deeper pressure here, we're just got another, minute or so, you can use your thumbs as long as it feels good and press in a little deeper with the thumbs. So I'm leaning into my Baddha Konasana. This is spleen point 6. It's kind of back behind the shin bone. You can even press kind of down and in towards the shin bone to really get at that point in its fullness. Okay, so we'll lean back onto our seat and into the sitting bones. So upright again. We'll move the hands now into the feet. And I'm going to try to get an angle so you guys can see my feet a little better. Okay, so this is called grandfather grandson point. It's spleen 6. So what you want to do is you want to look at the upper part of the arch of your foot, about 1 thumb width from the ball of your foot. Okay, so go to the ball of your foot, kind of on the outer side, and then find your spleen 4 point. Okay, 1 thumb down. Okay, now you'll feel it. You can kind of press into that area a little bit. 1 thumb width from the ball of your foot. Okay, so once I find that spot, I'm going to press in. This is a bloat. It helps to relieve bloat. So if you're feeling bloaty, this is a lot about those waters of life. Remember, it's all about the pelvis and what that means for us. This is the place in which our waters of life dwell. It is your deep well of energy and creative source for your own physical body. We all have heard the words, water is life. The waters we take in, but there are waters within. So these are clearing points for bloating, for the waters. It is known to relieve PMS. So if you get irritability, this is an irritability point. Abdominal cramps, if things aren't moving, this helps things to move. Menstrual cramps helps to relieve menstrual cramps. So there's a lot here to offer just this one point. So again, if you want to kind of come in a little deeper, maybe it feels good to slide your feet a little further away, like your heels away from your pubis, and make a bigger kind of diamond shape with your legs, more yin style, and then come in from here. So I can kind of get lower if I take my feet a little further away from my pubic bone. Yeah. And then replace. So you're making sure that you're 1 thumb under the ball. Okay, so measure a thumb and then go right under. Yes. Okay, good. Now wiggle your toes while you're here. Wiggle your toes. You're going to feel that spleen point as you wiggle your toes. It's going to activate the ligaments of your feet a little bit, and then relax them again and go a little deeper with the pressure. In about 1 minute here. Once again, raise your head, lift from the back of your body with a nice long spine, engaging the belly as you raise up. Ah, here comes the sun. Take your hands away, send your legs straight out in a little bit of a V shape, and then shake out your legs. I'm going to sit back a little bit from here. Okay, so legs are out. Give them a little shake, a little shimmy. Internally and externally rotate. Turn your toes in and turn them out. And then kind of play with letting your legs bounce and press against the floor. Just letting the energy move down to the toes. Then curl your toes and flex your toes. Curl and point, and then flex and fan. So you're activating that energy to flow downward. That's what we want. All right, so hopefully that all feels good. We're gonna move just a little bit of energy into chest again. So when we did that first Shalabhasana point where we held our hands at our pelvis, that awakened that pelvic press, that pelvic point. So now we'll come to kind of an upright position. We've done this little rocking action before. Hands just under the knees, shoulders dropped away from the ears, and just rock. Lift the heart on inhalation. Exhale, round the spine. Really let it be more about your pelvis. So when you round the spine, it's only to help that pelvis go from high up on the sitting bones to right towards the back of your sacrum. Okay, so we're inhaling, lifting and lengthening the spine. Exhale, curl the tailbone under. Kind of rock the pubic bone towards your belly button and under. Good, and if you want to let your head and neck go along with it, this is sort of like a spinal roll or cat-cow from a seated position rather than all fours. We get a little bit of that energy flowing now. Not just down and back and through the pelvis, but now upward through the spine, all the way to the crown of the head. As you inhale, lift it up. And as you exhale, squeeze the belly around the back. One or two more at your own pace. All right, coming back to neutral and placing your hands behind you. Now, I just came off a little wrist hand injury, so I'm being extra delicate with weight bearing right now, which is why we're doing a very light weight bearing class on the hands. So you can rotate your fingers out or actually turn your palms so they point directly behind you, or you can point them in. The most important thing that we want to do is to activate the front of the chest. So most of us, we take our hands behind our back and the shoulders roll forward. So you want to pull the shoulders back so the chest is spacious and broad, the collarbones are lengthening apart, and it almost feels like you're squeezing your shoulder blades towards each other on your back, like your shoulder blades are kissing. Now, as you do that, also make your neck long and your shoulders drop down. So it's a lot going on in the whole shoulder girdle to kind of get that activity. Bend your elbows just a little bit, lean back into the heels of your hands. Now keep those squeezy feelings on your upper back. Press down through your feet and lift your hips. It doesn't have to be high. Okay, some of you can really press the pelvis up, okay, into kind of like a reverse table, as long as it's okay on your hands. Otherwise, you can just be here and just do little micro pumps up and down. So let your booty rest and then it squeeze. And try to keep the shoulders back and the collarbones broad. I'm even going to take my head slightly back as I do this movement through my pelvis only. So I'm holding my shoulder girdle strong, and then I'm doing these little pulses and pumps. Okay, so letting the booty be loose and then pressing and lifting and squeezing the booty. It doesn't have to be a big squeeze so that you're tight back there, but just you feel those butt muscles activated. Okay, we loosen them up, we got rid of the tightness, and now we're just letting everything pulse. Let's do one more if we can. I know the hands and arms get tired. Take it all the way down and then hug your arms around your legs and almost like you're in a child's pose, only from sitting. Curl your head towards your knees, round your back, and take a few soft, easy breaths.
So notice what inner conversation is going on right now with yourself. Just notice it without any judgment, without any, like it should be a different way, just whatever it is, just say, okay, this is what it is right now. And perhaps this time we can also introduce just this space right here and now as we've been connecting with our body for the last 45 minutes. And in this meditation of inner knowing, what is it that wants to change right now that I'm scared to change? What is it that wants to shift in my life that I know I need to shift, but I'm scared? I feel like I need to get the courage to just do it. And just honoring yourself in whatever place you're at in this shift. And making a soft, heartfelt commitment to meeting yourself at the edge of this growing place. Trusting that your energies and your courage can help you make this wish come true. Give you the energy you need to do something that may be really hard to do, but you know is in your best interest. All right, so from here, we'll unravel. And I want to give you a chance to set up one of two things. It could be legs up the wall, or it could be legs up the chair or the couch or whatever you have nearby. So this will be our final position for today. It's going to be about a 6 to 7 minute final meditation. So if you need to use the restroom before you do this last pose, it's a restorative Viparita Karani. If you do it, the legs straight up, that's going to open up the hamstrings. It's also going to continue to wash that pelvis as we've been working on. If you bend your legs over something, it's way more restorative. So in that way, if you're feeling like you need a little more restoration on the deeper levels of your system, do it legs up the chair instead of legs up the wall. All right. So it's basically the same thing. You're just kind of grooving in, moving back. I think my daughter just got home, so you're gonna probably hear the dogs whine. They get so excited, and here we are. Now, hands to the belly, thighs, or hip creases. Okay, so still in that same area that we've been working. And maybe a pillow underneath your head. Hi, Matt. And then when you feel ready to drop in, we'll let all this practice and all the information that's been given to the body now to just dissipate, to know that you've absorbed, your body's absorbing what it needs to absorb. And your spirit and your heart are being replenished and renewed so that the activation is supporting you in all that is now. Now is the moment of power. Now is where you can just be.
So in this beautiful space of wellness and hopefully comfort or coziness, we'll just change the position of our hands briefly for a short little energetic boost to the mind. So we'll bring our middle finger to the third eye point, so the middle finger of our right hand. And then take the middle finger of your left hand and place it at the back of your skull, right at the base, just above your neck. Okay, so it's really the whole entire third eye from the front point of the third eye to the back point, what's GB20, Heaven's Gate. Okay, so just press down there, and then you can make a little kind of circular rub against the skin and the kind of pressing into the bone, the bony structures there. Okay, a little circular massage. And then keep the pressure in and take a 2 or 3 easy breaths. Softening through the brow, softening through the mind, the inside of your brain, the jaw, the throat. And you can imagine now that the crown of your head is also open, receiving light, receiving healing, receiving divine energy flowing through. And on your next breath, just let a lightness come over your fingers and start to bring them away. Float the fingers up and away. Maybe now taking a big stretch with your arms overhead, perhaps drawing the knees now in towards the chest. And when you're ready, rocking off to the safest side that you can get to. And once again, pause here for a moment. And as you feel ready, begin to make your way back up to a seated position. We got a yoga dog with us today. We got a yoga kid with us today. It's interesting how they get attracted by the good vibes. I love it. So we'll bring our palms together at our heart center, and we remember that we are divine, that we are, we're made of stardust. We are from the heavens, and that we are not just this body and this mind and these thoughts. That we are infinite. So by remembering our infinite self, by expanding into that forever connected and space of love that we already are, peace that we already are, we expand deeper into it. We carry it with us as we go about all the things we do: work, play, friends, parenting, love, relationship. And may you feel the blessings continue throughout the rest of this week and weekend. I will be here on Sunday again for a soulful yoga practice, a little more energetic, okay? So I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May all beings everywhere know their light and their peace within. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide your practice today. Namaste. Have a glorious day.
Erica?